I don't think that many of us want normal to come back. One reason why the lockdowns were so readily accepted by the population is that people wanted out. They wanted out of life as normal. Normal was pretty insane already. It was ugly, it was destructive, it was miserable for many, many people. And even those who did not think of themselves as miserable were living a much more muted, degraded existence from what is actually the natural human estate. Anyone who has visited less developed parts of the world understands this. That the modern experience of life is like reduced to a narrow range. It's muted. So we on some level, like there's a death wish in society, a wish for liberation from the lives that we have been living. And at the same time, there's also a desire to crawl back into the womb of normalcy. That's one aspect of the conflict. But that's not going to happen. Normal isn't going to come back. The process set in motion by the pandemic will far outlive the pandemic. And partly because we don't want normal to come back. We're not willing to put the energy and will into restoring normal that is necessary for us to restore normal. We would have to care and want that a lot more than we do. Now, I'm not saying that nothing was good about the old normal. In fact, we're being shown what was good about it, what was precious about it. To lose something precious is probably the best way to recognize how precious it was. Like maybe we didn't really understand how precious hugs are, or seeing naked faces, or gathering together, singing together, dancing together. Maybe we took it for granted. Maybe now, after it was taken away from us, maybe now we recognize how valuable that is. Maybe when the next pandemic comes, we will hold that as valuable and not give it up so easily. Maybe as we construct a new normal, we'll put those things at the center where they belong. I often point out that all of the political trends in the COVID era are actually intensifications of what was already in progress, whether it's surveillance or censorship, polarization, authoritarianism. Like all of these things were on the increase before COVID. But COVID intensified them and made them visible to us. It brought a lot to the surface, a lot of like these civic rivalries and tensions. They were bubbling underneath the surface and erupting from time to time. And it just like really like made it literally visible. Like some people wear a mask and some don't. And from that, you can guess their political affiliation. Now, sometimes that guess is wrong. Like, if I'm walking around without a mask, people think I must be a Trumper or something like that. And I'm not, shall we say. But so also though, on a psychological level, things that hadn't been an issue, like these questions you're raising, could kind of slide under the surface. But they sure came up strong for me as like I've been warning about medical totalitarianism for like 15 years, and in the Ascent of Humanity, which I wrote in the early 2000s, I painted this picture of everybody's wearing like a protective bubble around themselves as this fulfillment of the war on germs and the idea that the separate self can maintain its health and integrity by shutting out the world. And I was relating that to the separate selves of neoliberal capitalism and modern psychology and philosophy and the whole atomized society, and so like this, and the conquest of nature and the separation of a human realm from the natural realm. Like I was like writing about this a long time ago, and I'm saying we don't want to go down this road. And here we are, far down that road. And so, yeah, like I really went into some pretty dark places. Um, yeah, maybe I should just take my toys and go home and carve out some little bubble somewhere and do my best to insulate myself from what's happening, psychically insulate and physically insulate, find some community, some pod somewhere. Uh, but that that impulse to retreat into a bubble is actually the same energy as the hygiene obsession that powers a lot of the COVID response. Keep the good in and the bad out. That as the prescription for health and safety and a good life. And so ultimately, I've always, been pulled back again and again into engagement. And but yeah, it hasn't been easy. Like everything on some level, everything, because separation is actually a lie, and we are inextricably linked to the world. Therefore, everything that happens in the world is happening inside too. Like we can't wall it out. We're feeling everything, and that's been one reason why there's been so much, um, like almost in many people, like it's almost bipolar fluctuation in mood and outlook, and this like inner conflict. It's mirroring the outer conflict. It's mirroring people's bewilderment at the changing narrative and at the collapse of what they had assumed to be incontestable truth, and the switching of roles of villains and heroes, and like I don't even know what's real anymore. Like a lot of people under the facade of normality and the orthodox narrative, a lot of people are really in a deep state of questioning that they're not even aware of. They're still voicing the correct opinions, living the normal routines, but there's a feeling of unreality. They don't believe in it anymore. People don't even believe their opinions anymore. And so we're feeling this inside. That could register as a kind of like a self-doubt. And where did that even come from? Not like the authentic doubt when something that you have professed becomes no longer true. And there's like doubt can be a kind of a letting go process, letting go of what I thought I knew, who I thought I was. I'm not talking about that doubt though. I'm talking about doubting what you actually authentically do know and undermining who you authentically are. So that's been, a lot of people have been struggling with that too.